What's going on, everybody? It says we're live. I just hit the go live button. What's happening? Welcome. Welcome to Home Built Workshop. Welcome to Wednesday Live. Before I go any farther, I need to know straight away if we're synced up here. That's going to be key. Because I'm feeling good. I spent like 3 hours messing with that a couple days ago. So, that's going to be very important. What's going on? How's everybody doing? Let's see here. Sam's here. Sam says hello, everyone. Robert says hello, people. Hope all are doing well, staying safe and healthy. Right on. Good morning, Robert. Edgelight's here. What's up? Edgelight says, can't believe I'm going to catch it live right from the start. Nice. Sam says hello. Robert says audio is way off. I'm going to cry. Really? Like, I literally spent like 3 hours a couple days ago streaming just a test stream and then watching the test stream, making adjustments. Yeah, the adjustments are still there where I had it. Okay, well, what did that do? Is that any better? I put it back to 0, so it's no offset. So now I'm just going to drink coffee. We'll just have to do this again. We'll just, Hair Dude says the audio is quiet too. Okay. Good grief. See, I was hoping to have this problem solved. Robert says that's better. Donna says can't hear. Really? All right, I'm switching mics. All right, now I'm back on the other mic. The audio should be way off on this one too. So there, is that better or worse? Both volume, oh, that looks like it's actually peaking. Both volume-wise and sync-wise. That is so weird. I don't understand this. Yeah, but anyway, I spent 3 hours at least going through two different sessions, like each an hour, hour and a half long, so that I could get this audio adjusted after last week, because I know it was really bad. And I got it to where what I was seeing was right on. Let's see. All right, back to Donna says I can hear. Ajay says it's fine, not that far of a lag. Sam says better. Robert says good, but real loud. Yeah, I can see that. I'm bringing it down because it's peaking. This is the mic on the camera, on the webcam. Harry Dude says audio jumped up to normal. Okay, I switched microphones. That's the mic built in on the camera. I switched off of this because I see that it is low. I can fix that. I'm not too worried about that. I just want to get rolling. Edgelight says it's right on, but it's loud. So I just pulled the level back just a little so that we're not peaking. We're just coming into the. I got some little meters on here, and it was going into the red, pretty high. So I think we should be okay there. Sam says much better. Edgelight says perfect. So the sync is good. So let's try this. Of course, I was doing that in my test, and the noise reduction was cutting that out. So 1, 2, 1. Oh no, I just turned off the tracking or something. What did I do? I don't know. Anyway, you guys let me know. What have I done? Sam says, if there's a computer system out there, Jeff will find a way to play around with the sound settings. Yeah. Okay. So, is that the consensus I'm getting? Is that we're mostly synced up, and the sound is okay now? Is that what I'm understanding? I hope so. I got fingers crossed. Edgelight says, cut out the slap. Couldn't hear, but your mouth is moving. Yeah, isn't that weird? The sound, it cuts that out. Edgelight says, all good. Yes. Here's the weird thing. Now that we've got that out of the way for now, I'll play around with the levels on this later. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. So after the live last week, I spent 2 different sessions, a fair amount of time trying to get this set. So I basically set it up exactly the way it was, and I had the stream open on another computer. Totally wasn't I wasn't on this computer, and just making adjustments. Finally, I went through the mic on the camera. I got that synced up. I got the mic on the laptop synced up, and I got the wireless synced up to where, I mean, it was close. I could play all 3 at the same time, and it was almost perfect, and everything looked good. And I thought, cool. I mean, it was kind of a big delay that I had to put in there to get everything to sync up, but hey, whatever, right? And then today, I'm back to 0, and everything's working. So I don't know where that latency was coming from, but as long as it's gone, it's fine. I'm totally okay with that. How weird. Anyways, how's everybody been? How you guys doing? What's on your workbench? Let's see. Robert says, yes, it's good. Time Surfing's here, says, howdy ho. What's up, Time Surfing? How's everything going? Cheers, everyone. A little extra coffee. Huh. At least we're sort of synced up, and I don't have to worry at the moment, because yeah, that was weird. I don't know. Maybe it's I wonder if that's an internet thing or something like that. But it was just really strange. But regardless, Sam says, Jeff has a smart ring? No, I don't have a smart ring. To control the smart ring gestures. Yeah, no, like, I don't know what that's all about. I've heard of them, but I don't have one. Hairdo says, maybe start the system with the camera audio so it gets the sync right, then change to the wireless. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go in baby steps. But the weird thing is, right, is I had everything synced. So now the only thing I can think of is that it must have been like latency due to the internet or something. Because I'm streaming on the internet, but I'm also pulling the stream down on the internet to watch it. Maybe what I should have done is pulled it up on my phone, like, and used mobile internet. That's probably what I should have done. I'll bet you that because I'm uploading and downloading at the same time, I'll bet you that's caused internet, or caused latency, I should say. Probably what I should do is switch to mobile hotspot and then play that on my computer, or just play it on the phone and then adjust from there. That's probably what I should have done. Huh. Well, maybe I'll try that again too and just see. I'll take a look at this when we're done and see if it needs a little bit of a tweak. But I'll bet you that's what was going on as I kind of think through that out loud. But yeah, it was really weird, Harry Dude, because I went through all 3 audio inputs, the built-in on the laptop, the built-in on the camera, and then the wireless, and had everything synced up, like I said, so that I could turn on all 3 of them, and they were almost like there wasn't really any echo or anything. It was almost perfect on all 3 of them. And then today they're they're all out of whack, and I went completely back to 0 offset either way. And now it's fine. Robert says, "Don't you just love tracking down those pesky gremlins?" I know. Those gremlins, they're always trying to jump in here and cause some sort of issues. Time Surfing says, "Everything's synced up. Words spelled from left to right." If I didn't know any better, I'd swear Jeff is an imposter. Right on. You know what? That's good. I'll take that. Time Surfing, thank you. It's just weird. I don't know why. I'm trying, everyone. And thank you for being understanding. I really do appreciate that, because it is frustrating. It's frustrating for me. Trying to always chase the settings around. But anyway, it sounds like, voila, we're here today. I want this thing to track me. There we go. Aha. There we go. We're back in business. So what's everybody been up to? What's been on your workbench? What kind of projects are you working on? You can probably see what's on mine behind me. But we'll get to that here shortly. Sam says, perhaps have Sheldon Cooper as a lodger. Sheldon Cooper as a lodger. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't. My apologies, Sam. I don't get the reference. I don't know what a lodger is. Edgelight says 3D printer gremlins are the worst. Boy, I agree with that. Yeah. I've been doing a little bit of 3D printing off camera the last couple of days, and definitely I ran into a couple gremlins. I've got one filament. It's not the brand that I usually use, and really I'm just using it as kind of test prints to try to use it up. And I got, I don't know, half a spool or something like that left. Every time I print with that, like it prints fine, but when the print is done, for some reason it can't retract the filament. I don't know why. I get an error every single time that it's stuck in the print head. So I have to, I'm using the bamboo printer. I have to pull the cover off, basically pull the Bowden tube out of there. Then it'll retract and I put it back in and it's fine. Only this one filament. Like I can't find any, there's nothing broken. Like a piece isn't broken in there. I literally just pull the tube out, then it'll retract. I put the tube back in, put the cover on, and it's fine. Every single time. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, it's not a huge deal because it's not ruining the prints, but it is very strange. If I print with any of the other filaments, the brands that I normally use, it works perfect. I don't know. It's just really weird. Edgelight says, cigar box guitars as always. Right on. Yeah, I got to get on one of those too. I got a box around here that I want to get that built into a new one here at some point. I'm not sure exactly when I'll get to that, but it's definitely on my list and it's creeping closer to the top because I got to get a new one built. Robert says, I've been getting a bunch of rain here lately. The past few weeks, we've had rain just about every other day. Yeah, we're kind of in that same boat right now, Robert. We're into May, right? And I'm still wearing a sweatshirt, beanie. We have had quite a few really nice days, but over the last few days, let's see, I think it rolled in Sunday. This cool air, rain. Yesterday it was snowing. I mean, this is typical weather. It drives me nuts. I don't like it. But this is our typical weather here in Colorado. Springtime is not what you would expect for springtime. Yeah, it was like 31 degrees yesterday. Snow, sleet, rain. I mean, yeah, just a cold, damp spell right here. I mean, the rain I'm okay with because we need it. You know, we need the rain. But it's been cold. We went to a concert on Monday night at a local outdoor amphitheater here. And it was freezing. It was like, the concert was cool, but like everybody, I mean, it was raining pretty much the entire time. We had to wear like ponchos oh, man, it was interesting. And it's not what you'd expect for spring, but it's what we get. So we're in the same boat, Robert. Time Surfing says Big Bang reference. Lodger is a renter. Oh, okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Paul's here. Paul says greetings, everyone. Only here for a few minutes as I have an appointment at 10:30. Dang job requirements interrupting my quality YouTube time. Paul, that's unacceptable. I think I would, I would take that up with HR and see if they can help you out with that. No, yeah. Anyway, I'm glad you could stop in for a few. Paul says we'll be on vacation starting Friday, so won't be around next week. Right on, Paul. I'm glad you get some vacation time, and I hope you have a great time. Actually, it's gonna be cool. Right on, Sam. Whoop whoop. I need like a sound effect thing. I think I can do that with this. But super chat. Right on, Sam. Thank you. Sam says towards a jar of coffee. Now that prices have gone nuts. Right on, Sam. Got to keep this thing stocked up. Yeah, the jar that I'm using right now is starting to get down there. So thank you. I very much appreciate that. Do you guys see the lights just flicker? That was kind of weird. But thank you, Sam. Time Servant says, I wore a sweatshirt once. I think it snowed that day. Way to rub it in. Robert says, I was watching a video earlier today of a review of a combo unit that's a 3D printer, laser, CNC, and CNC router. Yes. What is that? I've seen a few of those kind of multi pieces. Some were kind of cool. Robert says, don't remember the name of the machine, but had a pretty large print area. Yeah, I don't remember. I think I know what you're talking about, or I've seen something similar. Yeah, that's super cool. Edgeye says, so your coffee went up too? It almost doubled here in Canada. Honestly, I don't know. To be completely honest. But like I said, my can's getting down, so I'm gonna have to get some more. I really can't speak to the price on that because I'm not up to par on all that stuff. Robert says laser was a 40-watt unit. Nice. Alrighty, so let's see. Let's get caught up. Well, so after we talked last week, the video this past weekend was the TrueNAS server where I converted that old computer into the server. Did you guys see that one? Actually, I'm pretty it's kind of weird. I can never figure out the whole YouTube thing, right? I have expected that video to not really go over very well, and honestly, that video is doing great. So apparently, you all enjoyed that video, and I'm thankful for that. I was hoping to have a little bit more of an update on that whole project today, because I thought I was going to get my hard drives, the larger hard drives by now, but I haven't gotten them yet. Tracking doesn't show any updates. It shows that it's shipped, and that was like a week ago. So I'm gonna have to send some emails and figure out what in the world's going on with my drives, or where the heck they are. But yeah, that video is doing really good, and again, I'm super happy with having that thing together. And I'm also getting the impression that there's quite a few people out there, you guys and others, that want a follow-up video once I get some time with that, which is something I had in mind, but I'm already picking up from a few comments on that video that people are definitely curious. So there will be a follow-up, probably. I mean, it's not going to be anytime super soon, but yeah, I'll definitely be doing a video. I'll probably, kind of break it down and have a kind of a portion in the video where I'm putting the hard drives in, and then I'll just use it for probably a few months, maybe just kind of get everything going. But there will be a follow-up to that build. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Robert says, not sure what the price of coffee is here. Haven't bought any in a few months. Yes, I did watch server build. Right on. Thank you, Robert. Paul says, the NAS video was so nasty. Very informative. And good to see how you worked through the issues. Yeah, that was challenging because I had in mind, like I dug out all these used parts that I just saved, like we do. We save things. A lot of stuff that, people would normally throw away, cables and extra bits and pieces. But I wanted to incorporate all that stuff. So I already knew ahead of time that inside that case, I had two CD drive spaces. And then I had that other hard drive cage that held 4 drives. So I already knew I wanted to put 6 drives in there. So trying to, cut brackets out and fit everything in, plus the graphics card, it was a little bit tricky, but it was actually kind of fun. And I didn't even melt anything with extra metal shavings. But yeah, it was kind of cool. Just kind of going through it. Again, not like I mentioned in the video, it wasn't something that I've ever messed with before. Like server stuff. I've built computers before. I really do enjoy that. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I just wish my other drives were here. I don't know what's taking them so long. I don't know if they got lost or they got held up somewhere. I don't know what's going on. But just so you know, there will be a follow-up video of some sort after a little bit of time on that one. Time Servant says, I noticed rampant inflation about 40 years ago. It's done nothing but get worse. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna change, unfortunately. Mike Johnson's here. Mike says, good morning all. Jeff, did you have any issue with the software for the new camera? On the webcam? No, I didn't. I did notice the only issue, if I can even call it an issue, was not on this laptop, but this was before I got the new laptop. I had it on the old laptop. The buttons, like when you go to click the any of the buttons, the position of the buttons was off. That's the only thing I noticed. Like, it's fairly intuitive when you move your mouse pointer to a button, but I had to go just a little bit above it. But that doesn't even seem to be an issue. In fact, let me double check here. That's not an issue on this system. Whatever I point the mouse on, the button works. So that's literally the only issue that I ran into. Everything else seems to work just fine. Did you run into something with yours? Robert says, looks like you're still inching up on the 100K subscribers. Hope it continues to climb. It is inching. It's inching. And a lot of that is like, normally I don't watch that stuff too close. But now that it's that close, it's like in the back of my mind, like I want to catch that whenever it gets there. But I also find myself now checking it more often, which I don't want to do. And that's what makes it feel like it's inching. But yes, it is just inching along. It's we'll get there. We're like 160 or 180 subs away or something like that. So spread the word. Tell your friends. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We're going to make it here in the next, I don't know. It's going to take a while. It feels like. But really, we're really close. Sam says you can use front and rear cameras simultaneously on some phones during live streams. Oh, I don't know if I can on mine. Of course, mine just had an update. More like one of those major updates. I hate it when they have updates. Am I the only one? I hate updates. I don't know why. Like, I get everything set. I like everything. I get used to all of where everything is. And then they update it and everything changes. Ah. Paul says, I just bought a fully tricked out Mac Pro trash can Mac. I'm turning it into a media virtual machine server, waiting for it to get in. Right on. Cool. Yep, I have got, in my server, I still have, just the drives that I installed in the video, just some random drives, just to play around. The solid state drives as the boot drive, that's not going to change. But the ones that I have in there, I've just been playing around. I've got some shares set up where I can transfer files to. I have a media server set up. I got Jellyfin running. Of course, it's I got to redo it all when I get the new drives in there. But I've just been playing around, and I actually have it working. And I was able to transfer a movie file to the server, and then go to the TV and connect to the server and stream the movie. So everything's working. It's super cool to have all that done. And I'm looking forward to getting the other drives and getting a little further in and getting everything set up finally so I can actually have backups running to the server and all that. It's really kind of cool. Very frustrating, I'm finding though, again, because mostly I don't understand all of this 100% yet. I'm still learning everything. Where I'm getting frustrated with is permissions, right? There's so many permissions for the users, permissions for groups, permissions for the shares, permissions for this, permissions for that. It's crazy. And that's what I'm trying to understand, is just kind of wrap my head around it. Mike says, that's what I've got going on. Oh, interesting, Mike. So yeah, that's the only thing I noticed. And I don't, maybe try uninstalling it and reinstalling the software. I didn't try that. But all I know is on the old laptop, it was a problem. On the new laptop, it's not a problem. I mean, everything works okay. You just have to hold your mouse above the button, which is weird. Maybe try reinstalling. I don't know if that'll help it or not. But yeah, that's just a weird thing. Everything works fine. The camera works fine and all of that. And I have no issue. But that was the only issue with the software. It just didn't seem, the buttons didn't line up for whatever reason. That's weird. Time Surfing said, or Robert says to Time Surfing, yeah, it seems that once the prices go up, they never go down. Yep. Fuel prices drop. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, right? So, people are even talking about the houses and stuff. And I'm not trying to get into a big discussion, right? People are like, oh, I'm waiting for prices to go down. I'm like, I don't think prices are going back down for nothing. I hope they do, but I really don't think that's going to be the case. Sam says, boomerang industry is making a comeback, though. Yeah, I see what you did there. Oh, boy. Making a comeback. Hair Dude says, I've had an upgrade pending on my phone for about a year or more. I'm dreading Samsung pushing more AI on me. Yeah, that's what mine is, Harry Dude. It was pending. It wasn't supposed to be installed for it wasn't going to automatically install for like another couple weeks, but it was there. Notification was there. I'm like, okay, just if I don't do it, you're going to just force it on me. So I said, install it. And they always change the look of everything. And I don't like it. I'll get used to it and I'll figure everything out and it's going to be just fine. But I don't like I don't know. They changed a bunch of the icons a bit. I don't know. Sorry, Paul. I think they look more Apple. They look like Apple icons. It's like, well, it's not an Apple, so stop making stuff look like Apple. Alrighty, let's see. Paul says, gotta go make a customer happy. Have a great week. Take care, everyone. Right on, Paul. And enjoy your vacation. Hope you get some good quality downtime there and have a good time. Right on. Robert says, my last phone update made some really different changes in the way it looks. That's what mine did this time around. And changed like some of the sounds and some of the behaviors a little bit. Time Surfing says, right you are, Robert. Gas was 69 cents a gallon when I got my driver's license. Yeah, they're not going back. Mine was a little bit more than that, but not by much. I think it was about 81 cents when I started driving. There, I'll date myself. Sam says, I tried holding a mouse above the button. It didn't like it one bit. It bit me. You got to watch out for those things, Sam. Those mice, man, they're pesky. And I don't like them whatsoever. Edgelight says, my Samsung sucks. Worst phone I've had. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the Samsung phones. It's just the updates. I'm just weird. I don't like change. So what are we working on this week? I'm into the springtime routine. Kind of going through and getting everything, getting all the equipment ready to go, lawnmowers, getting everything serviced, blades sharpened, all that sort of thing. And it seems like every spring or so, we get a project video where I got to fix something. And that's what I did this week. Working on getting the video scheduled right now and uploaded. I dug the old string trimmer out, and it's leaking gas everywhere. Oh no, I forgot to plug in the laptop. Oh, hang on. Plugging this in. I know. that when the screen, oh, hey, I'm over here, camera. I know that when the screen starts to go dim, that's because I've forgotten to plug it in. So that's my fault. We should be good now. But yeah, you know, it's kind of, as the weather, it's not too nice out yet, but you know, I know we're close. Sometime this month, I might have to trim some weeds or maybe a little mow by the end of the month. So just trying to get things ready. All of the fuel lines I found that connect to like the primer bulb and the carburetor have all become super, they've lost their elasticity. And if you've ever worked on one of these, it's kind of weird because these go straight through the fuel tank. There's just a hole in the bottom of the fuel tank, and it literally relies on friction to hold the fuel lines in place and seal them. And I think what has happened was these lines got really brittle. Maybe not even super brittle because they don't snap, but they've lost their squish. And it relies on friction and a little bit of squish in the line to seal. And I think that's what was allowing gas to seep from the tank down along the outside of the fuel line. So I had to change the fuel lines on there. We got everything leak free now. I can reach the fuel lines here, and there's no gas. No gas on me. Yes, the other day when I was working on these, was it yesterday? Day before. I would do that and literally be, what are you doing? Why are you looking down there? Literally be soaked with gas. So that's a project for this week. It's going to be another part in the small engine mower maintenance playlist. Time Servant says, driving my wife to doctor's appointments. Right on. Well, don't stream and drive. Eyes on the road, right? Sam says, Apple took a bite out of their products. I wanted a complete Apple. Yeah, they just... Time Servant says, the dreaded dry rot. Yeah, that's what it is. I wasn't sure what was going on. Honestly, I thought there was like a crack in one of the lines because it was pretty bad. But it was, after I got it apart and kind of did a little inspecting, I can see, I'm sure you can't see that on camera. Let me move my head out of the way there. Let's see. Where is it? There's a little bump right here. That's where it meets the fuel tank. And I believe what has happened is that it just, you know, this is pretty old. I've had this probably 15 years, maybe 12, but I've had it quite a while. And this is the original line. I think it's, you know, it's just gotten old enough to where there's no squeeze, right? It just can't seal. So you guys seeing the lights flicker? I don't know what's going on. But yeah, we got it back up and running. I replaced it with I had a little bit different style of line, but just some 3/32 fuel line. This is definitely a lot squishier. So we're back up and running on that. Not a real difficult repair. Just took a little bit of time, and you have to get a little creative, you know, because you can't shove this back up through the tank. So you almost have to pull it down from the inside of the tank. So the trick that I know is, there's probably others, and I'd be interested to hear some of the other ones, is I take a piece of this kind of tie wire, feed it up through the hole and out the top. Then I cut this off at an angle and basically hook the wire onto it and then pull it back down through. It's about the only way I know of to get the new line in there. Robert says, I have a gas-powered trimmer as well. I hate it. It would take pull after pull after pull forever to try to start it. It would never start according to the instructions. Have you changed like the spark plug, Robert, and have fresh gas in there? I know if I leave old gas in this for, you know, over the winter, even though I use ethanol free in the small engines, sometimes the first start will take a while. And I got to pull. But I don't know, maybe a fresh plug, fresh gas. It's about the only things I can think of. If nothing else, maybe that carburetor needs to be cleaned out, because it shouldn't take that long to get started. Maybe you could run some fuel cleaner through there, fuel system cleaner, or pull the carburetor off, clean it out, or just replace it. I don't know, just a couple of ideas. Spark plug might make a big difference though. Edgelight says the lights are fine. Maybe you're losing it. I mean, you're probably not wrong. I probably am losing it. I swear there's a flicker though. I don't know if it's because the wind is blowing, but I don't hear the wind. I don't know what's going on. Who knows? I'm losing it. I'm going to go with that. Sam says, have you seen that Japanese woodcrafting channel? Those cranked chisels look cool. I'm not sure how effective they are. I don't know if I've seen that yet. Robert says, make sure you don't try using ethanol fuel in those small motors. It eats up the fuel lines and will burn up the pistons as well. Yes. I run ethanol free in every single small engine. I love running it in my car, because I like the extra gas mileage, but it does cost, in my area anyway, a little bit more. So I've kind of done the math. And as far as that goes, the mileage is great, but not necessarily worth it because it costs more. But without a doubt, every single lawnmower, small engine, chainsaw, weed trimmer, pressure washer, always have ethanol free. I don't mess around. I have before. This has run regular ethanol gas in it because I didn't have a ethanol free station around. But ever since I got a station reasonably close, that is all I use. So there's a chance that this might be gummed up a little bit, and that might have contributed to some of the issues that I'm having with some of the fuel lines. I don't really know, but I also know that these are just going to age, right? But I don't know. Yeah, I always run ethanol free. Let's see. Robert says the trimmer has done that since new. Interesting. I don't know why. That's weird. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Sempackin's here. Says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sempackin. Rick, how you doing this morning? Time Serpent says, my car's POS. I run the cheapest crap they have. Yeah, I mean, I like to run mid-grade, at least in mine. But yeah, I mean, yesterday I put in the cheap stuff, so I don't. Usually it's mid-grade, but yeah, once in a while, I don't know. Anyway, let's see. What's coming up on the old channel this weekend? Well, that's going to be. Let's see. Since this thing will track us over here, that's going to be this hand plane. I talked about this last week. Remember? That video for that is already up on the. Well, it's up and scheduled for the channel. So that's going to be. That's going to be your viewing pleasure this weekend. Getting that hand plane done, which was super cool. I found out some really neat information about these old planes. They're super nice, and I'm gonna be on the lookout for some more like that. That was pretty cool. Let's see here. Robert says, that's strange. Where I get my fuel, the ethanol is less expensive than the ethanol free. Yes, it is. Did I say that backwards? Maybe I did. The ethanol free stuff is more expensive where I am, but that's the stuff that I really like. The ethanol free stuff doesn't have that nasty ethanol garbage in it, and it's better for everything, in my opinion. And that's the stuff I will buy, that more expensive ethanol free for the small engines. Maybe I said that backwards, and if I did, I apologize. Yeah, so I like to run the ethanol free in the car, but it's, like I said, it's more expensive, so I don't. Rick says, wow, I've cut the grass 5 times already this year. What? I had to buy a second weed eater and lawnmower after living in a townhouse. Wow. Oh, a second-hand weed eater and lawnmower. Wow. 5 times? I haven't mowed once, and we're nowhere even near. We don't have leaves on the trees, nothing. Of course, we're always way behind with all that stuff here where I live. I don't know if it's the altitude, the cold, probably a little bit of everything. But yeah, that's crazy. I'm kind of looking forward to it, though. That's why I started going through, like I said, and just getting everything ready for the season. I had my riding mower fired up the other day just to make sure that, everything starts. I do need to change the oil on that and everything, but, just kind of, I'm getting a little anxious. I do enjoy, all that outside yard mowing and all that sort of thing. Corey says, if you have any gas-powered weed eaters, even lawnmowers and chainsaws, you want to run racing fuel in them, they'll run better and they last longer. I've heard that too. Yeah. Yep. I just run the ethanol free. I don't try to get race gas, although that would be cool. Sam says, with all the changes YouTube is doing, my tablet chat no longer self-updates. I have to now reopen the page or change the chat section option just to see the updated chat. Interesting. Speaking of updates, right, so I don't know if you guys remember, I just got notification on my desktop that currently runs Windows 10. I just got notification that I need to download Windows 11, which this new laptop has. But the thing that's weird is months ago or even a year ago, I had notifications saying that your computer's not eligible to run Windows 11. If I remember correctly, they said at some point that your motherboard had to have some sort of chip, and if you didn't have the chip, you couldn't run Windows 11. Well, now it's telling me you got to install Windows 11. You're going to be out of support. Have you guys seen that? Anybody else heard of that, such a thing? Sam Packin says, I put a fuel called Real Fuel in. Helps keep everything in good shape. Stops what you're talking about there. Yes, Rick. Real Fuel, that's ethanol free. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't run that for the one simple reason is it's like $20 a can. And I can go to the gas station here and buy ethanol free. And it's basically the same thing. So I'd rather do that. But I know exactly what you're talking about. You can buy it, it's like already pre-mixed. Everything's, perfectly ready to go. And yeah, it's basically the same thing. I don't know. It's a little expensive for me. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Sam says, a V8 ride-on mower. Yes, now you're talking, Sam. Now you're talking my language. I want to do that. Robert says, my car gets better fuel mileage with the ethanol, but I make sure to get the stuff without it for my mowers. Yeah, good idea. Sam says, Microsoft scrapped Windows 10. Yeah. I mean, they're ending support this year, so they want to push everybody to 11. But I know for a fact that my computer, at one time, did not have the chip that they were saying you needed to run Windows 11. But now, mysteriously, you can run Windows 11 without this chip. Mike says, yeah, so do we have to replace all our computers? That's why I may go to Linux. Yeah, I've tried Linux, and I'm not that into messing with stuff as much. Man, the stuff you can do with Linux is super cool. I do not like command line stuff. And I know that, certain versions you don't need that, but even to like install things, you got to be able to run the, some command line stuff. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Don't know what the deal is. But I just thought that was weird. A notification popped up. And I'm like, what the little notification thing? And I clicked on it and it said, yeah, you upgrade to Windows 11 now. And I'm like, well, you told me a year ago I couldn't. So they must have made some changes to the entire operating system that doesn't require whatever that special chip is. I don't know. I just wondering if you guys have seen that thing. Sam says Skype no longer available. Microsoft are now using Microsoft Teams. I've seen that. I've never used Teams or anything. I try not to. Rick says, oh, just realized it's called True Fuel, not Real Fuel. Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant, Rick. True Fuel, Real Fuel, yeah, same kind of thing. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's ethanol free, already pre-mixed stuff in a lot of cases. Maybe you can get regular non-pre-mix. I'm not sure, but. Hair Dude says, I think Microsoft is pushing Windows 11 to force hardware upgrades, even if your computer can't run it. I was wondering about that because I know for a fact before it was a big deal. I would get the update saying, hey, see if your computer can run. And I would hit the thing and it said, nope, you can't. It's not compatible with Windows 11. But now they're saying it is. I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't know. Although I'm kind of liking 11 here on this. I'm kind of curious. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, though. Like if I can update to 11, can you roll back? I don't know. Maybe you can system restore and go back to 10. I'm not sure how that works. Robert says there are some requirements to run Windows 11 and not all computers will work with it. I've heard some people have figured out how to force Windows 11 on computers that do not support it. I've heard that too, Robert. But you have to basically not hack the code, but you have to do something to where it takes that bit out where it searches for the whatever chip. But like I said, mine is now saying you can run it. So I'm thinking that Microsoft has made those changes so that it no longer requires whatever this chip is. That's what I think. Edgelight says my main laptop is Linux and I haven't had to use any coding. Really? Of course, it's been 10 plus years since I've messed with it. I ran Ubuntu in a dual boot configuration for a little while to play around with, and I didn't really like it for that reason. But like I said, that was a long time ago. There's been a lot of changes since then. Harry Dude says you probably can't roll back, install it on a fresh drive, and put the Windows 10 drive away. That's not a bad idea. How would we do that though? So I don't have a disk, right? So it's basically saying you need to upgrade from Windows 10. I have the Windows 10 installation. If I pull that drive out and I put in a new drive, I wonder how I would install Windows 11 without a drive. I almost don't think you can. I could be wrong. And Robert says if you can get the download, the tool to test to see if it can run, most likely it will say it can't run. But that's kind of what I'm saying though now, is mine used to say it can't, but now it's saying it can. So that only, like Harry Dude said, they're forcing it to, then all of a sudden it won't run, so you have to upgrade. Or they've taken that little portion of the program of the operating system out to where you no longer have to meet that requirement. It'll run without that, whatever it is, some sort of chip. I don't know. Sam says Windows 10 is false advertising. Try throwing it out the 10th floor window. It doesn't work after. I can imagine. Here it says clone the Windows 10 drive to another drive and mess with the clone. That's a good idea. That's perfect. You gotta figure out how to do that. Yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you just clone it. Then if it doesn't work, you just put it back in and bam, you're right back to where you were. Yeah, that's a good idea. Mike says if you go to the manufacturer website, you can reinstall Windows 10 and do all the updates. Like if I go to Microsoft, the manufacturer of the computer is me. Well, I didn't manufacture it, but it's one that I put together, my desktop. And then I just bought a Windows 10 installation. Sam says Microsoft are overdoing corporate greed. Yeah. Robert says you can download the install files for Windows 11 to a big enough USB drive and install from the USB. Yeah, I'm going to have to research that a little bit and see if I can, if there's a way around it or something like that. So, because I don't know. Part of me wants to go ahead and upgrade, but I'm a little bit leery because, like I said, I know they told me at one point I'm not eligible to upgrade with that computer. They're saying it's too old. It's like 5 years old, 4 years old, which I guess in computer terms is probably pretty old. So I don't know. I've been kicking around the idea of upgrading that, but I don't know if I will. Too expensive. I'll tell you what doesn't need upgraded though, and that's my coffee. That is some good coffee today. Yeah, so anyway, so be on the lookout for a little string trimmer video. Be working on that. Hand playing this weekend. And I got to get into some other stuff. And hopefully the weather's going to turn and we'll be able to get outside a little bit more. I'm looking forward to it. I want to be outside. I'm tired of the cold. I'm tired of the long spring, winter, whatever. Mike says, ugh, coffee. Are you not a fan of coffee, Mike? Yeah, I like my coffee. It's all right. You don't have to. You don't. This is just not for me. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Not everybody likes coffee. Some people like tea. Some people like coffee. Some people don't like either. It's totally fine. I'm not mad either way. Robert says if you buy the Windows 11 install these days, you will either get it on USB drive or a download link. I think what I got on Windows 10 was a download link, and I need to go back through and see if I can find that. I wonder where I've put that. I'm pretty sure it was a download. It took like quite some time to get everything downloaded. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I guess I could turn this wireless off. Just sitting here killing the battery on it. Yeah, we're using the Insta camera mic. Hopefully the sound is decent. From what I could tell when I was doing the testing, the sound is really good on here. And it does a really good job at cutting out the like any background noise too. I noticed that because I had headphones on that were plugged into the other computer when I was trying to get everything synced up, which apparently was a waste of time. But yeah, really good sound too. Mike, are you noticing that too? Really good sound on this camera. Jimmer's here. Jimmer, what's going on? Jimmer says cars suck. What are you working on today? What's on the lift? Like a Lamborghini, Ferrari, Jaguar. I did watch a video. So I did watch a video the other day that it was another American channel, and they pronounced them Jaguar. I'm just saying. I get it. I understand. Heritage says my 3 Windows PCs are from 2009 to 2011. Will not upgrade to Windows 11, considering going exclusively Mac. Right on. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I always run them till they're like the operating system basically won't, or the hardware doesn't work. I did the same thing with Windows XP. When that finally crapped out, I went to Windows 7, and by then it was already pretty much Windows 7 at end of life, and I used that computer for several years after end of life for Windows 7. And then from there, I went straight to the Windows 10 machine that I have now. I'm like, I am not an early adopter of any of that stuff. And my problem with Mac is, well, first, I know that they're extremely reliable and they're excellent machines. Their hardware, everything just works for the most part. The only thing that I don't like is and Microsoft has some of this too, actually quite a bit now. It's getting worse, but the proprietariness. That's what I don't like. But I'm seeing that more and more, even on this Windows 11 machine. So far, I have no complaints. Windows 11 seems fine. It's not a big change from what I can tell to Windows 10. Seems to work just fine. But yeah, there's just something with the Mac. For the prices, for the specs, how do I want to say that? You can get a equally spec'd Windows machine for like half the cost of a Mac with the same specs, basically. I don't know. I don't understand, and I don't know if it's just a brand thing. Like, I'm not knocking either one. I legitimately don't understand why that is, because I even when I was looking at this, at getting this laptop, I did just for fun look at a Mac. And I can't justify the cost. I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it. But like I said, I'm not knocking either one. I like, that's a legitimate question for me. Let's see. Mike says sound is fine. Still playing with the camera. Too much stuff going on here. Yeah, things get in the way. I know what you mean. Jimmer says 2009 Ford F350 exhaust manifold studs. Ooh, that sounds fun. Yeah, I can imagine what you're dealing with there, my friend. Heat. He is your friend. Sam says, if you know anyone with aluminum lathe, I could ask them to make a wall-mounted computer and then fully rig it out with great parts for custom computer system. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Time Surfing says, I agree, Jim. Cars suck. My '08 Caliber leads the charge on sucks. Oh, man. Robert says, Mac, at least when I worked on them at work, they would last more than 4 to 5 times of a Windows machine. Or toward the end of time, working there, reliability was not as good. They are pricey. Yes, I agree with that, Robert. They do seem to just last and last and last and last. And, you know, but what I'm finding, and I don't know if the computers do that. I think I've mentioned that about the laptop. Or the iPad that I have. It's one of the first generation iPad minis. It just all of a sudden they just stopped supporting it. So like now it's a brick and I can't do anything with it. Because I can't install none of the apps will work on there anymore because they don't support that far back. That sort of bugs me, but I don't think that's just a Mac thing. But it is annoying. But I wonder if the laptops and stuff do that. Like if you just keep using it long enough, will it also just phase itself out? I don't know. That's interesting. That's something I hadn't really thought of. I wonder if you use it for like literally 15 years. Let's see. How old is this? It's about 12 years old, I think. This iPad. Yeah, surely a Mac lasts longer than 12 years. I don't know. Jimmer's inventing new swear words. Just use the gas wrench. Heat those suckers up. I'm sure you've done that already. Probably busted them off. That's probably the problem. Or they probably broke off. Robert says the other downside of Macs are limited to what they will run. I never liked the Mac Mini or MacBook. Yeah, I don't have no input on any of that. So I've not used them. The only thing I used to have one of the square, like bigger Macs at work. I had to use a Mac for a couple applications. And the iPad. That's really the only experience I have. Sam says, Brits know how to swear. Yeah, there's, you just... I'm sure you do, Sam. I'm sure you do. But also, I know that broken exhaust manifolds or rusty exhaust manifolds or just working on cars in general from time to time, they will aggravate you to sides that you didn't even know you had. Robert says, MacBook wasn't too bad. The iPad is what I never liked. Ah, gotcha. Cool. Now, Time Surfing says, pretty much look at cars built since 2000 as disposable. Drive till the wheels falls off. Time Surfing, that's exactly how I feel. I want to drive them until something catastrophic breaks, and then that's when I end up getting a new one. I am not one. I'm kind of the same way with everything, really. Now that I think about it. Computer, I will use that until it doesn't work anymore. Then I'll get another one. Tools, I will use them and fix them and repair them and do whatever I can until I can't. Then I get a new one or a replacement. Maybe not new, but yeah, cars are the same way. The last one we had was an '05. We had it until a little over a year ago when the transmission finally went out. And that's when we replaced it. It had 257,000 miles on it. It still ran perfect, and I was mad that the transmission went out because I wanted it to hit 300,000 miles. Then we got a new one, or not new. We got another vehicle. I try to always buy them with the lowest mileage that fits into the price range. I think the one we have now we bought with 54,000 miles on it, and I hope to get that thing well over 200,000. Hopefully. My vehicle right now that I'm driving is almost 210,000. Still runs and drives perfectly fine. I'll drive it until something breaks, something catastrophic, to where the cost of repair is more than what the vehicle's worth, which gets less and less the older the vehicle gets. But the last one that the transmission went out, they wanted like $5,000 to put a rebuilt or a reman a transmission in there. And to me, that wasn't worth it. The vehicle was only worth, I don't know, way less than that. So yeah, we just run it until the wheels fall off. So, and I'll do that with mine that I'm driving right now. And then the one thing is that allows me, because I don't do car payments, so it allows me time to save up some money, and then that way when the thing dies, I just go get something else. So I'm hoping we get 300,000 on this one. I don't know if we will or not, but let's see. Robert says, thoughts on the iPad or an expensive corporate toy? I felt that they were limited in what they were able to do with them. Yeah, to an extent, I could see that. I bought mine because I was playing in a cover band at the time, and we used it. I've mentioned this before. We've used a digital mixer that you could only connect to with an iPad or with an Apple app or Apple device. They didn't have the Android app. Now they do, and I wouldn't have had to mess with it. But at the time, you could only use the Apple app, so I bought the iPad because I wanted to be able to control my in-ears, on the fly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought an iPad. I would have bought an Android tablet of some sort. A Time Servant says $250K on the Caliber. Right on. Yeah, you're getting up there. That's cool. See, I kind of like that. I know people that go, oh, it's got over 100,000 miles on it. That, oh, we gotta get rid of it and get a new one. It's gonna die. And I'm like, it's only got 200,000 on it. It's fine. It's just different. I don't know, different mindset. Yes, are there more chances of issues when you get higher up? Yeah, there are. But I see that on my vehicle, and I take that as, you know what? I must have been doing something right with my maintenance throughout the years, in order to have it run and operate as well as it does, right? So I feel good when the vehicle is able to see those kind of mileage. And, like the cars back in the day, right? If you had an old car in the 80s or even the 90s, even maybe early 90s, if you had 200,000 miles on the motor, I mean, that thing probably smoked like crazy, because the thing was just half wore out or mostly worn out. Now you hit 200,000 miles on the new vehicles, and there's not a puff of smoke, nothing. And it's pretty cool. I just let it go till it ends. Sam says the stems from rivets tend to go in the trash can. Can they be used as a cheap fixture to save on wastage? Huh? Stems from rivets. Oh yeah, when you use a rivet, can they be used as a cheap fixture? I suppose you could probably come up with something for it. I don't have any ideas off the top of my head, but yeah, because you just throw it away. Something to ponder. Heritage says, I find iPads useful for my music. Use them for sheet music and remote controlling the mixers. Yeah, see, that's what I like. To be able to control the mixers. Mine was even set up so not only could I control my in-ear mix, but I could also switch, to like another page and basically control front of house right from my iPad. I could be playing there the song, something, hey, we can't hear the vocals or whatever. Oh, okay. Whoop. There, fixed, right on the fly. You didn't have to run over to the board or anything like that. That was super handy. And, you could also control everybody else's mix because not everybody had an iPad. And I could, they could just say, hey, I need more guitar or whatever. And whoop, there you go, done. It was super, super convenient. And honestly, I don't think I would have a setup like that anymore where I couldn't remote control. So handy. Time Servant says, it has a great stereo. Probably the only thing I keep. Well, hey, what's that Alan Jackson song? Ain't nothing wrong with the radio? Yeah. I think that was Alan Jackson. Yeah, that was Alan Jackson. That's a good tune right there. Some 90s Alan Jackson. Robert says, my 2013 Ford Focus has a bit over 145 on it. Wow, it's not even broke in yet. 2013. Wow, that's cool, Robert. Drizzy Guitars, what's going on? Hey, dude, 282,000 on my 03 Commodore wagon. Nice. 282 kilometers. I don't know what that is exactly in miles, but it's got to be 180, something like that. I don't know. 282 kilometers. Kilometers. We're going to, let's see, kilometers. I got to do the math. Harry, dude, wait a, you did well. Kilometers to miles. 282,000. 175. What did I say? 180? 175,000. Nice. And Harry, dude, what is a Commodore? Is that a what does that relate to? Like, is that like a Ford GM? What is Ford over there? Is it still Ford? And I know GM is something different. What does that relate to? That's where I get a little bit mixed up. Time Server says, looking around for my next drive till it drops. Used car prices are crazy high. Yes. That's another reason I keep waiting. Every month we set a little bit aside, right? And I've been doing that for a while so that when the time comes, I don't have to like freak out, right? Because like I said, I don't do payments. I try to keep all of my monthly everything low. And that's by not doing payments and all that sort of thing. So I got a plan. Right, so I got a plan. I don't want to wait to the last minute. All of a sudden, the thing, dies, and now I got to freak out and figure out how to get a new vehicle. I just set some aside. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the prices are high. I do keep looking around every so often just to get an idea of kind of where I need to be. But yeah, the prices are kind of out of control. Seems as though they've maybe stabilized some though. I know there for a little bit it was really bad. Jim says, I prefer Apple products. I've had way less issues with them. Jimmer says, catalytic converters hide a lot of things coming out of the tailpipe. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's true. But I haven't had a plugged cat yet. So I guess I'm probably okay there. That's a good point, though. I hadn't thought about that. I just keep thinking, man, it doesn't blow any smoke when I start it up. Nothing. Sam says, Apple remotely lock up their products every time they screwed up my iPhone 5. I know it's remotely deactivated. I still have the iPhone 4. Still works because I logged out of Apple years ago. Interesting. Time surfing, 175. Yes, there it is. Yeah. Robert says I had a 1080 or probably 1980, I'm guessing. Dodge Laser, bought new, and when it was new, had plenty of pep. After about 2 years, that poor four-cylinder would barely climb a low hill. Yeah, I got you, Robert, 1980. Heritage says Commodore is a Holden. Okay, Holden is the GM. Aussie GM. Mine is a station wagon version. Not sure what you call a station wagon in the U.S. It's a station wagon, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Jim says catalyst lasts forever unless killed by the engine. Okay, unless you got a bunch of stuff pouring into it. Yeah, that makes sense. Heritage says Ford is Ford here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Holden, that's the word I couldn't think of. There's the GM. Yep. So, cool. Right on. You guys got anything else? Any other questions, comments, suggestions? Before we wrap this up, it's kind of getting cold. I turned the heat off because I didn't want the noise while we were out here. But it's kind of getting chilly in here. I don't know what it is. I can't quite see the thermometer at the moment. But yeah, it's kind of getting a little cool. And I got some rags from when I was leaking gas. I think the gas fumes that I'm smelling from the gassy rags, I think I need to get a little fresh air. So, but anyway, Harry says, I had to turn the heater on in the car today. Not happy. Well, Harry dude, don't feel bad because I got to turn the heater on here still. But I know you're just getting into it and we're just slowly climbing out of it. Robert says, I kind of like the Dodge Magnum station wagon. It looks cool. You know what, Robert? I did too, actually. I always thought they were kind of neat. And you could get them in an all-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive would have been kind of neat too, but out here I would want all-wheel drive. I thought those were kind of cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Every time I see one now, which is not all that much, I keep saying, "Oh yeah, there's one of those magnums." And well, my wife thinks I'm crazy. Oh, station wagon. I don't know. I liked him. Let's see. Sam says you can make a small wooden statue of yourself for your home decor. Speaking of that, Sam, it's kind of funny you bring that up. Yesterday, I logged into we're doing some 3D printing, Jim. I was doing some printing, and I logged into the homepage for Bamboo Labs, and they have this thing, like some different apps and different tools in there that you can do. One is you can make a statue from like a headshot, right? It's supposed to take your like a picture, and it does the 3D rendering and it's supposed to turn it into a statue. I thought, well, this ought to be fun. So let me try this out. So I found a half decent headshot picture of myself, and I uploaded it to the thing. It was not great. It was the worst I was no way I would have printed that statue. So, yeah, but it was kind of funny. It was pretty bad. I don't know if it was the picture or just the way it rendered it or what, but it was it was kind of crazy. Jimmer says, "Can't wait." Yes, I should have some magnets in. And then for those of you that are wondering, Jim and I are kind of collaborating on a project right now. I'm not going to get too far into detail just yet because we're still working some things out, but doing some 3D printing, and it'll be a project video if we get everything working. And it's going to be I'm waiting for magnets, Jim. Magnets should be here today or tomorrow, so we'll kind of figure that out. Paul says, "Okay, back at the end. Customer happy. Right on, Paul. You're back." Harry Dude says, "Check out the 03 Holden Commodore wagon." I'm going to do that right now while we're all still on here before I close this out. 2003 Holden Commodore wagon. Where's the wagon? Wagon. Because I want to see what it looks like. Oh yeah. So what if you hacked the back off that? That's what you'd call a ute, right? That's kind of what I'm picturing. Did they make that in a ute? A ute's like a car truck thing, right? It's not just a truck. A truck isn't a ute. Yeah, that's cool. Wagon. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. Robert says, "I saw Chip Foose change out the front end of a Magnum with a Chrysler of the same year, and it looked cool." I have seen some of those conversions where they change some of the different things. Paul says, "I need to send you a sticker." Yeah, we need some stickers over here. Heritage says, "Yes, they made utes in that style." Time Servant says, "Show us." 2003 Holden wagon. I don't know how this is gonna work. I totally can picture that, Harry Dude. For some reason, right? I picture that as a ute. I don't know why that is. Yeah, that looks like super handy for hauling gear, and definitely not something that we have. Definitely not something that we have. Here, I got to cover my face so it'll focus. Yeah, like I could totally picture that. Oops, with the back like chopped off, and it would be a ute. I wish we had stuff like that, like utes like that. The only thing we have, well, it reminds me of it is the Subaru Brat. So you guys remember the Subaru Brat? Used to have the seats in the back and everything. It's the only thing it reminds me of. Of course, we had the El Camino, right? Oh, you know what? There's also that Subaru thing now. It's not the Brat, but Subaru also has a newer one that's kind of the same. But I feel like it looks more Subaru-like, not Ute-like. There's a look. I don't know. There's just a look that I picture. Time Server says Subaru on steroids. Yeah, but it's not a Subaru. That's what's kind of cool. It's GM. It's like you could go down to the Chevy dealer and pick one up. But yeah, you can't do that here. They don't have that thing. Kind of wish they did. I think that'd be kind of neat. Sam says you can control phone cameras using smartwatches for starting and stopping recordings. Yeah, I don't have a smartwatch though. I didn't have a dumb watch. So, I heard it says most of the Utes were two-door, but there were some four-door Utes called crewmen. Interesting. Paul says, I used to have a Brat. Front axle broke, and I put it in four-wheel drive and drove until I got the front fixed. Oh, were they front-wheel drive? And then you drove it in rear-wheel drive? I did the opposite with a pickup one time. Jim, you probably remember that green square body we used to have once upon a time. We drove that down. We had this. It was an 86. It was an 86. We had this 86 GMC square body four-wheel drive pickup. Lifted, it was on a little bit bigger tires. And we drove it down to Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, where they have the 4x4 nationals down there. They still do it every year. But this was the event back then. Back in my day, the event was a little different. It was a little more wild, a little more unrefined, I would say. And we went down there one year with this truck, because it's the whole thing is lifted trucks, monster trucks. It's a truck show, all kinds of stuff. But I took this truck down there, and every night, or I think it was Saturday nights, they would do like a parade right through this town, right? And at certain points around there, people would be spraying the road down with water, because you're supposed to do burnouts. So I pulled up to one of these things, and this was not a show truck. It was just a truck. It wasn't fixed up all super nice, but it was ridiculously loud. Had like a really loud exhaust in there. It sounded fantastic. But had a bunch of buddies piled in the truck, both in the bed and in the cab, and we got to this burnout spot and went to do a burnout. And the thing had granny low gear. It was a 3-speed with granny low, so 4-speed sort of. And there was probably 3 or 4 people in the back. This is story time, and then I got to wrap this up. But 3 or 4 people in the back. It's late at night. A lot of people are not us driving, of course, but people on the sidelines drinking, spraying water on the road. It's just a big party. And kind of, I don't know if you could think of it as like Mardi Gras for 4x4s kind of thing. But anyway, got to the burnout. Everyone's do a burnout. I'm like, all right. So I knew I had a bunch of people in the back, so I put it in granny low, revved it up, dropped the clutch, and actually the tires, we got the tires spinning, and it wound it up, and I went to actually shift gears with a bunch of people in the back. That was the problem. I got the tires spinning. I should have just left it at that. But I thought, I'm going to grab another gear. Well, when I did that and I let the clutch out, the tires slowed down so much, I think probably because I had so much weight in the back. When I let the clutch out, I snapped the rear drive shaft off. And right in the middle of the road, right? We're holding up this parade, whatever you want to call it, cruise. Bang, the thing snaps. Like, oh, crap. And then, so we get out, we're holding up the thing, took the drive shaft off, put it in four-wheel drive, locked in the hubs, put it in four-wheel drive, and we finished the cruise on front wheels, got back to the campsite, and, found somebody with a drive shaft yoke, and we changed it there at the campsite at like 2 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, that just reminded me of that. That was quite the time. Burned my arm really bad on the hot exhaust. Yeah, it was just an interesting time. Oh, let's see. Robert says not sure what he started out with, but Merlin from Merlin's Old School Garage. Oh, interesting. Converted a car into a ute. Jim says he used to have a calculator watch. I did once upon a time. And then I had one of those Radio Shack talking watches. You could push the thing, and it would be like, it is 9:24 a.m. Paul says front-wheel drive until you engage the rear. Interesting. Time Surfing says friend in high school cut up his GTO, made an El Camino thing. Here, dude, if you want a Holden in the U.S., go find a GTO from 06. They're actually a Holden Monero converted to the wrong driver's side for the U.S. Really? I like those GTOs. You could get them with a V8. That's what I would want to find. Robert says, I had one of those calculator watches. Had to use a pencil eraser to run the buttons. I remember that. Yeah, tiny little calculator watch. Yeah, that talking watch that I had, I drowned that in Seneca Lake, Jim. Where I was up there one summer for a Boy Scout thing. And me and Eric were out in this little sailboat doing our small boat sailing like badge for Boy Scouts. And somehow we flipped the thing over, and I was wearing this watch that I shouldn't have been wearing, and fell into the lake and drowned it. Paul says, I had one of the Sony watches that had a TV in it. What? I didn't even know they made such a thing. Wow, that's fun. Robert says, everyone stay safe and healthy. Yes, guys, I got to wrap this up. I got to get back to work, finish getting the video scheduled for next weekend, which is going to be replacing all of the darn fuel lines on this weed trimmer. So getting things ready for spring. I got to get that up. The video's up there. Most of the stuff is done. I just got to finish up the thumbnail and get it scheduled and then start working on something else. So you guys, thank you so much. We went a little bit over, but that's fine. I don't mind. Super good. Great conversation. I enjoy it. So anyway, guys, thank you. Thanks for taking some time to hang out here with me at Home Built Workshop. And we're going to be doing it again next week. Same time, same place. So thank you all so much. Harry Dude says cheers. Thanks. Sam says thanks for the fantastic stream. Right on. Drizzy Guitar says cheers. Yes, right on. Thank you all. Hope you guys have an awesome week. I hope the weather's nice where you are. It's not super nice here for at least another day or two. Hopefully it'll clear up then. We'll get some outside time. So anyway, thank you guys. Everybody stay safe, stay well. Get on your shops, build some cool stuff. Have a great time. Be safe. Thank you again. We'll catch you next time. We're out of here. Later, everyone. Take care.